Wow, tuning. Back in my day, you didn't have tuning. Your voice was your voice.
You just belted it out.
Yeah.
They've had tuning for a while.
Well, whatever.
Not a real singer if you use tuning, right?
No, you really aren't.
Right.
How many conversations? Let's just start there. How many conversations, Chris, have you had with your father? Because the conversation that you just had with your dad is one that I have had with my father, and it's been every argument we've had for, I don't know, the last 20 years, where I will say something and he will eventually just shrug his shoulders.
Say, look it up.
And just be, no, it would just hit me in the face with the dead fish of whatever.
Yeah.
Just a coffee breath
that kind
soaked.
of thing.
That kind of thing.
How much did your father annoy you during the Super Bowl, and what was he doing to annoy you, as the Super Bowl with the Codys was a family affair and you were feeling kind of gross because you'd flown in from Los Angeles, you're tired, you're soaked in booze and excess, and you just
eating so much queso,
and you careen queso soaked into your dad's. Was it at your dad's house?
Well, my dad does this thing. We've talked about it before, where my dad is living life for the first time. He doesn't know how to turn on his TV. My mom still has to show him. He goes through life, is taught things, quickly forgets them, and he learns every year that during the Super Bowl you're supposed to shut the hell up during commercials. And he's one of these guys that's like just yapping, and then you're like, shh, you hit him with that, shh. And he's just like offended. He's like, it's my house. Why do I have to? And then when he's watching a commercial, who do you think gets the most angry when he can't hear it? It's amazing how he's learning everything every year. Why do I have to be quiet? Hey, shut up. I'm watching this. It's all through his prism, his entire life.
You're going to go there after what you and Michael did to me? I had to call over my shoulder. I had to say to Michael, you can be a real asshole sometime, you know it? And I apologized to him later because it's a terrible thing for a father to say to his son.
That was because at one point during the halftime show, me and my brother were arguing about Eminem's relevance, and my dad goes, guys, shut up, and my brother just goes, ah!
That's the kind of thing Michael does.
And that's when my dad goes, you know you can be a real asshole sometimes.
You're right. He's like a 12-year-old sometimes. But I'm trying to listen to Dr. Dre and Snoop while they're arguing about Eminem's relevance. Right. And so and right over my head they're doing it. So I'm looking around saying, shut up. I'm trying to listen. Then Michael goes, ah. It felt like punching him. You know, so everybody makes noise during Super Bowl night, including during the commercials, during the songs, during the game. Nobody can shut up.
All right.
Despite all the food, mouths should be full. Nobody should be making noise during Super Bowl night. It should be sacrosanct. It should be like being in church. Can't you go 4 hours without making a sound? I hate it. Silence is golden. You ever hear that? People always feel like they need to say something, you know.
To fill the silence.
Says the guy talking loud into a microphone. But, you know, it's true. I mean, you know, be quiet. You know, it's like, you know, when Dr. Dre and Snoop are performing live together, it's like one of the great moments in music history. I thought the whole night was great. And by the way, I hate the idea that somebody who's white or old is unqualified to talk about hip-hop. That's when I loved hip-hop. And to me, one of the many bona fides of hip-hop is that it has grown up over generations. That's why when Dr. Dre said in the pregame he tweaked the NFL, he said it's about time they get around to a hip-hop show, because it's true. You know, I'm in my late 20s, early 30s listening to, you know, Biggie and Snoop and Dr. Dre, and those were like my wheelhouse, old school. Family Affair by Mary J. Blige, one of my all-time favorite songs. Eminem, of course. I love that show. I love the halftime. And so when I'm trying to listen, and they're arguing about a guy who's going to come on late in the show, I'm like, what the hell am I going? I felt like kicking everybody out of my own thing. My throat's getting scratchy all of a sudden. Where's that water? Okay. Sorry I went on. I mean, but that's the bona fide of hip-hop, is that it's not just a black thing. It hasn't been for a long time. And it's not just a young thing, because it's around enough now where people my age remember the early days of it. Run DMC, all that stuff, you know. I couldn't name a Kendrick Lamar song, but the other people on that stage, they're a lot of what I listened to back in the day. God bless America. God bless football. God bless the halftime show. It was fantastic. It was better than the commercials, by the way. Not to tease my back in my day.
Because you didn't hear any of them because you were just yapping.
Well, yap during a commercial more than during that halftime show. That's when you yap. Yap while you're eating. Tell me that my Honduran cabbage salad kicked ass. Tell me you didn't like the Asian wings. Yap then, not during the halftime show.
It sounds like this family affair was a bit tense. It sounds. I love
supposed to be festive.
I love that you just said silence, shut up, and then rambled for a good 2 minutes with all of your very strong opinions.
I'd like to hear more about the salad.
Oh, it was great. It's a Honduran cabbage salad, but I did Gregify it, because it's supposed to be just a lemon dressing, and I turned that into a very light, thin lemon mayo dressing, just to give it a little more oomph. And it was great. It really went over. Guests were bringing the leftover salad home. It was a fantastic thing. We had a nice spread, a lot to eat, but that's the time to talk. And talk during the game. Talk during a 3-yard run. Don't talk while the highly anticipated Dr. Dre and Snoop are finally opening their mouth and you're yakking against whether Eminem's still relevant. You know what? He may not have a hit record for a while. He put out that album a year ago that did pretty well with Murder in the title. But if you can sell out an arena, you're still relevant. And Eminem can. He's great. And watching Eminem and Al Michaels talking after the game when nobody knew they were talking to each other, that was just great. What a mutual admiration society from hell. I never would have expected that. Those two to be big fans of each other. It was wonderful to listen to.
My wife walked past the television and simply said, "Who's that relic?" And I assumed that she was talking about Al Michaels, but he was sitting next to Collinsworth, and I wasn't sure. I thought it was a cruel thing to say, but Al Michaels is about to get $11 million a year in a bidding war. I'm close to 10 years older than Greg Cody. 80 years old.
He's more than 10 years older than me, by the way.
I think he's 77 years old.
Okay, all right.
And he is about to get $11 million from Amazon, Stugotz.
He is 77. He could bring it still, though. He's great. Al Michaels is still great.
I am not disputing that. In fact, very hard on a Sunday night in America, as cruelty on the internet reigns, for you to never be the guy that everyone is saying, man, he's terrible. Like, usually you get aged out here. People are complaining about Corso and Vital. You do get aged out, but he is, it's not just sharp for his age. That's a skill set that's very difficult, and he has a great mastery over it. I mean, he's doing the Super Bowl, and I was impressed with how it was just another game for him. He's got so many of these on the resume. And I thought of that on the last drive with Stafford, right? Everyone's they're marveling at no-look pass on the game-winning drive. How can you be that relaxed? Because after time, you do so many reps of all of this stuff, so much practice that it does become something that you're breathing through. You're not thinking through.
Right.
You can be casual and relaxed and ignore. I thought The Rock felt more pressure in what he was doing than Al Michaels did in what he was doing. The Rock, a master entertainer, I thought that moment got him, and he wasn't quite himself. And I don't know if he was going ad lib or not, but he was talking way too much for that introduction, and he seemed nervous to me, and it'd be understandable if he was nervous.
Right. Yeah. But Michaels, I admire him a lot. I mean, he's so natural at it. He's done it 1,000 times, even Super Bowls. I don't know how many he's done, but there's no stage bigger than Al Michaels. And you can't say that about a ton of people in broadcasting history, but he's one of them. You mentioned Amazon. He's going to get a windfall from Amazon. Can I just throw a quick shout out, because I'm in an Amazon film that just launched on Amazon Prime. And you think I'm kidding about this, but there's an NASL soccer documentary called Big Time Soccer that just launched on Amazon Prime. And unless I am on the cutting room floor, I actually have a a small role in that as a journalist talking about the early days of the NSL. So check that out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
You
welcome.
play a journalist in this film?
I do, yeah. This was taped this is how long production sometimes takes. This was taped feels like 2 or 3 years ago. But it's finally come out, so.
Are you of the belief that we exist to just reside as a place where you promote things?
Not just. It's just part of it.
A big part of it.
Yeah, it's just part. I'm not under the official LeBatard and Friends umbrella, so I have to sneak in.
Yeah.
It's like when I mentioned the Greg Cody Show podcast. I mean, I just have to do it when I can. But this big-time soccer thing on Amazon Prime out now is something I'm very proud of, unless they left me on the cutting room floor, in which case...
You mentioned that.
In which case,
Good
it's a big
habit.
disappointing. Big disappointment.
But Greg, it's not your project. It's something you were in. You're not making any money off this project.
Correct. Don't I know that? I'm used to that, though.
It's not making money off of this project either.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Billy, why is Tuesday your favorite day?
I love Greg. There's just a different energy when Greg is here. It's
Yep.
like this, I don't know, this jolt up my spine of excitement and happiness. that
Wow,
Greg
thank you,
brings.
Billy.
It's odd. I don't know what it is.
It's a mutual thing. I'm Billy's biggest admirer. He's fantastic. Guillermo Mafia is one of the great things on earth. I should be an admiral in that army.
Wow.
How's
How's your Valentine's Day, Greg?
it was great.
Yeah?
It was fantastic. I don't know if you want a story. I mean,
I'd
do.
love one.
Hell yeah.
I
Nothing
had,
but time.
I threw a dozen roses at my wife. I had them delivered to her office.
Red roses?
No, she hates red roses.
Did you just say
anything
I
but.
threw a dozen
He
roses?
showered her with roses.
I mean,
But you just, the verb you chose,
Well,
the verb you
right.
chose. Did you
like a
bathe her?
fastball.
Did you bathe her in rose petals, or did you just throw flowers in her
a
face?
dozen roses, baby's breath, the usual thing. But they were delivered to her office. She happens to be in trial this week. She started a trial, meaning she's in the courthouse. She's not in her office. So here the roses sit. And I forgot, I called her secretary yesterday who was out at lunch. I forgot to call back. And then I didn't realize, my brain cells are leaving me. I forgot that Michael, who I yelled at, works at that office. I can just ask him to bring home the roses. But we had a lovely dinner, Billy, last
What an
night.
unnecessary tidbit.
For
It's very
Valentine-
important.
Yeah.
The chatterbox was
I-
there ruining Valentine's Day.
For those of you who are just joining us and don't know what the Greg and Cody experience is, just a brief disclaimer. He thinks everything that he thinks is interesting. And so every word is as interesting as the next.
I
And
called the secretary, and then he wouldn't pick up.
Well,
she was at lunch, and
In Greg's defense, he was asked. I mean, he was asked a
no,
question.
but it's the detours. It's the detours, Michael, who I was angry at, and it's just the detours.
Okay, the story's not quite done. I had a romantic evening for my wife, and
Baby.
and this is a
I don't
lesson.
need to hear this.
This is a lesson for all partners in a romantic relationship. What I did was every Valentine's Day, when it's on a weekday, sometimes we'll go out to dinner. If it's on a weekday, I buy stone crabs, which she loves. I have sautéed potatoes, big jumbo shrimp, a couple other things. It's a it's a banquet. It's a banquet, a romantic Valentine's Day banquet, because we don't do gifts on Valentine's Day, and the reason is that right after Christmas comes our anniversary in January, and then Valentine's Day. It's too much. What are we giving gifts nonstop for 3 months? It's crazy. So we just do this nice dinner, and it was fantastic, Billy. Thank you for asking.
We've used up a lot that's in this tank so far. He's
getting tired.
He doesn't have the stamina for this because I'm just waiting for him to peter out. You see his voice is giving up. So are his thoughts. Like, there's only so much in this tank, and we've used a lot of it over the first 90 minutes.
Yeah. Feel free to weave in some of your own personal takes. I need to save that honey-soaked throat for our recording session later today.
Yeah. Plus, I got it
killing me
back in
here.
my day as well, if you want it.
Let's do it right now, just
Wow.
to inundate them.
You're emptying the whole tank?
I'm
Be
gonna
on
try.
fumes.
No,
Are
I'm
you kidding?
I'm
Sounds
pressing
shitty.
the gas, and we're gonna ride this old mule right into the ground, into the desert.
Hee-haw.
Here he goes. Let's go. Let's ride it.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
Super Bowl commercials. So the game had an exciting ending, and the halftime show was great. But those Super Bowl commercials, what the hell was I watching? I have never in my life seen such an obtuse parade of ads by companies that didn't reveal their name until the very end, and then it was a name I'd never heard of. Greenlight, Polestar, Salesforce, Meta, Rakuten, Vroom, FTX, Wallbox, Squarespace. Can I get a gold darn ad for Campbell's soup, please? I'll take a gigantic horse befriending a bedraggled donkey in a straw hat. Something familiar. Anything. I've never missed Betty White so much in my life. The mystique of the Super Bowl commercial has been dying a slow, agonizing death, accelerated by the fact trailers and teaser ads out weeks in advance spoil the anticipation of being surprised that night. Now they're turning indecipherable to all but the hyper nerds who speak NFT and blockchain. I needed an IT guy next to me or an economist explaining the tsunami wave of ads for, I think, cryptocurrency companies. Those commercials need closed caption subtitles, putting everything in layman's terms for the over 50 crowd. The scroll would read, "Continue to keep your money in a bank account or a coffee can buried in the backyard." I'll admit the idea of Bitcoin piqued my curiosity a while ago. To see what the fuss was all about, I bit a coin, broke 2 teeth. Bitcoin, Venmo, Zelle Schmel. Folks, if I can't stick it in my 20-year-old wallet or drop it down my pants, it ain't money. Unless it's a check or a money order or a gift certificate, those are okay. The worst or at least most bizarre of the cryptocurrency Super Bowl ads was the one that made me think I was trapped inside an Atari video game in 1979. I'm thinking, wait, have I OD'd on Miller Lights already? Or am I actually seeing a QR code bouncing slowly around a black screen at $7 million per 30 seconds? It was predictable genius, of course, because the company knew full well millennials would race to the TV with their smartphones and dive right into the company through the QR code like Alice down the wishing well or lemmings falling en masse over a cliff at the command of the new Big Brother. How sweet if the whole thing was a gag and the QR code led you to a screen totally blank but for the words, "Gullible much?" In fairness, there were plenty of good commercials too, of course, like those DraftKings ads. Wow, absolutely brilliant. How on earth did they ever land an actress of Emily Jones' stature? Luckily for the QR code ad.
Hey, yo.
Luckily for the QR code ad, there was one and only one Super Bowl commercial even worse. It was for something called Liquid Death Water that depicted a bunch of preteens appearing to get drunk. I expected Matthew McConaughey to step in from a competing ad and say, all right, but this ain't right. Bring back Super Bowl ads from the golden age of advertising when Mad Ave ruled and made commercials meant for us all. Campbell's, Vitalis, Motorola, Sears, Xerox, Chrysler, Boeing, Grecian Formula, Noxzema, Chesterfield. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Amazing.
Thank you.
We have not done a more fossilized 90 minutes. And archaeologists are waiting for the last bits of it to harden so they can dig up the oldest relic in the history of sports talking into microphone.
We started with your dad and somehow got older.
Chrysler, he's just yelling. He's just Chesterfield.
Xerox.
He's longing. Sears. Did you say Sears in there?
Of course he did.
He's longing.
Damn right.
He's longing for fallen companies because he doesn't know how to turn on his phone and scan something.
I love that Greg is asking for commercials for brands he's already aware of.
That's right.
You don't need the commercial.
He needs
You're
a reminder
aware of their existence.
No, I need them.
You learned about a bunch of new companies on Sunday, which is the point of spending $7 million for
Didn't
30
learn
seconds.
a thing.
He doesn't like learning, which
No.
is.
How much money have you put in like those Mr. Coffee cans? Because that's where I stashed my
Do
money.
you? Do
it's
you
such a great.
put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Have you ever in your life had dollars in a coffee can at LeBatard Show? I don't think Greg Cody is still doing that now. Can I find a coffee can in your house where I might find dollars?
No. I do accumulate coins, not in a can, but in a glass jar. But no, we don't do that. I have a cat buried in my backyard, but not money.
That's true.
Is it your cat?
It used to be.
It still is.
Still is technically.
I mean, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think,
is your cat,
I don't
Greg.
think anyone is coming to claim it.
No.
I think that's it. It's
No.
just
Is that pudding?
I think it was pudding. Where's Christopher? Oh, he's in a different room.
He's right
I said
there.
that.
Yeah, he said it.
Do you think
too.
that was your mind talking to you?
There he is. I thought you last time you were in the other room. Can't keep track.
Where's Christopher? He's been sitting behind you for the last 90 minutes. Like, what do you mean, where's
I
Christopher?
thought he was in the other room. It's like these are more confusing than Super Bowl ads. You don't know where anybody is.
We're all
Then they
right
bring up
next
pudding
to
and it's a
you.
whole
Just
thing.
turn
Yeah.
your head to the right.
What do you mean you don't know where anyone is? We're all sitting in the same places. We've sat together for the last 10 years.
In fairness to me, Christopher is back in the corner where if I just glance to the right, I see
sight
Roy.
lines, yeah.
I see Roy,
Yeah, right,
but
that's
to see Christopher, I gotta go
I
like
think, Chris, I want to please take me into your house because I believe that you and your brother have been behind your father's shoulder since the Super Bowl, and he's pissed off. He called your younger brother an asshole already, and he's annoyed. This is how we got him all ratcheted up to this crazed place where he's pinballing all over the show and just like hogging the ball like, with no awareness whatsoever of like talking about recipes.
that. Launching threes.
Shooter, shoot.
Damn right.
But he's going to give us nothing the next 2 hours. He's going to be totally spent. Christopher, what's the last couple of
That
days?
kind of thing.
What's the last couple of days with your father been like? Because you've been as annoyed by him as he is by you.
I mean, it's like that. I was annoyed with him for talking during commercials, and then he just goes on this rant about the Super Bowl ads. He does this every year with the Super Bowl ads. It annoys the shit out of me. He just doesn't shut up, and then when he wants you to shut up, he yells and he hates Michael for 4 days. It's just his prism.
By the way, at our Super Bowl party, when the QR ad comes on, wild guess who was the first guy up at the screen with his smartphone? Chris Cody.
I was curious. That's the whole point of it.
Lemming.
You should have.
Chris Lemming.
You're blaming him for being a sucker for the
Yes.
ad when it's only your ignorance. Like if I told you right now, Greg, if I said in the next minute, you're going to have to figure out how to scan this thing or you will drop dead on the floor. You'd be dead on the floor, correct?
I have scanned things. It took me a while to realize, am I supposed to take a photo of it or just put my camera in front of
Very
it and wave
confusing.
it?
Yeah.
You wave it. It's like putting your hands under a faucet. You know, you got to do it just so or the water doesn't come out. It's ridiculous.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. If Greg Cody had to scan a barcode with his phone in a minute, would he then be dead in a minute?
I think I could do it, although it would make me a little nervous. It would. But when they started replacing menus with QR codes,
Right.
it's like, it's
It's a pandemic. It was
we
for
have
safety.
crossed a line here. Give me a menu, but not more than one. I've done it back in my day on multiple menus, which is ridiculous. But give me one in my hand.
During a global pandemic, your convenience is first priority.
Well, I want them to cleanse the menu before they hand it to me, which hopefully they will. Right? I mean,
You would think.
when I'm going to a nice restaurant, I expect a beautiful menu in my hand that's been sanitized.
You should have seen how irate the house I was with, because I was with a bunch of old people. It was like me and my brother, my wife, but then a bunch of old people. When that barcode commercial came up, they were furious. They're like, this is what it's become. This is bullshit. I was like, I'll go do it. Everyone's so angry.
But I love that your dad is so reluctant to learn that he just bathed you in condescension with, look at my son, Lemming, wanting to learn. Like, you idiot.
And then I'm like, it's Coinbase. They're like, of course it is.
I thought it was a test pattern at first. Like when you used to stay up until 4 a.m. and all the programming would end for the day.
What?
And there would be a test pattern on the TV.
A lot of different colors,
Yeah,
would be on the
right.
screen. It'd just be 5 or 6 different colors.
Right, and that's what it looked like, this ad. But it turns out they crashed the app's website. That's how successful it was because of all the lemmings.
Mike, can I get your appraisal of the last 90 minutes?
I'm really mad with you. I'm really mad with you. Yeah, you've totally outsourced today's show and ridden Greg Cody into the ground. There's going to be nothing left of the man come hour 1.
But how's that different
It's
than
a big day for Greg.
Big day.
He has been looking forward to the day he would be asked to join a musical.
Oh, my God.
The culmination of his being.
Right.
And you're making sure there isn't an ounce
Yeah.
of adrenal energy left in the man.
I don't think you're giving Greg enough credit. He could dig deep. He could
Yeah.
find some more, right?
I'm a professional.
I
Yes.
think the part that you're underestimating is I don't think you understand how much fuel for this old man is just the ego satiation of, wait, people will listen to me and I'll just keep talking and singing. And he could ride that flume into the sky. It's his idea of heaven, trailed by Jimmy Buffett. Like, it's his idea of heaven. I could right? He's saying thank you because that's right. That he could snort the adrenaline of, I'm just going to keep talking and people are going to keep listening for 4 straight hours. No problem. My voice might blow out. Like, there's going to be a gasket that explodes. My ear's equilibrium is going to spin out, but I will absolutely snort the attention of, yes, look at me.
That's
You're
correct.
going to be there for the crash? You got to pick up the pieces, Dan?
You've got me singing too in this godforsaken thing you've lapped upon our shores here as if we don't have enough goddamn stuff to do.
I'm an
Coinbase,
artist.
Greg.
I'm an artist.
Coinbase.
The
Schmoinbase.
dollar. 4 quarters is $1. Those are
Coinbase.
coins.
It's a company called Coinbase. They don't deal in coins.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Fake
coins.
coins.
There's no
Yes,
they
coins
do,
in
Dad.
their purvey.
100 pennies. That's a $1's based
Yeah.
on that. Those are coins.
I
Bring
am
back the coin.
I am
There's
here.
a coin shortage.
I am here for a segment of Greg Cody tells you all he doesn't know about cryptocurrency. Like how much it scares him, and I'm not far from him. It's not like I understand it. I just feel like a whole lot of people are taking shortcuts to money, and soon I'm not going to have any, and they're going to have it all.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, nor do I want to know. But isn't it a drain on the U.S. economy?
Well, I don't think that's what's happening, but I'm no expert here. If you want to flaunt your ignorance here, you know nothing of this thing, you're scared of this thing, so you're dismissing it as a thing that can't be so, and many people are doing that, and they might be right.
Right. That's right.
And they might be wrong, too.
Sure, yeah, we'll see.
Okay, well, we probably will see. Soon enough.
Yeah, okay.
But when?
I don't know. I don't know. Are you by? Is anyone around here? Mike's been looking around in the shadows here, trying to keep himself alert and attentive because this is a thing that a lot of. I mean, who doesn't want to be young and rich or fast and quick to the money? So there are plenty of people. That was a staggering thing to witness on our most expensive day. And one of the things that was brilliant about the commercial you're complaining about is, millions are ticking as you're saying, what is this? What are they doing? And whatever it is that the difference is between the generations that send the millennials to it immediately and makes old people complain. It's why it's a great piece of art as an ad, but I can't imagine how much money was just spent by the crypto companies on getting, Larry David to work 16 hours a day.
I have a fair amount of money invested in crypto, more of the utility coins as opposed to the commodities that don't really have much value outside of being a meme. When you get to a decentralized internet and things run on the blockchain technology of Ethereum or something like Polkadot, which is going to be important to carrying the code from one place to another. But anytime I talk to someone that's really into crypto,
Polkadot,
I'm like, is this really the next genius of our time? Is this really Silicon Valley? Is this the next Steve Jobs, Bill Gates? Or is this some guy that read a blog item and put far too much money into the shitcoin?
And we will all find out together, I imagine, at some point. I just love that Greg Cody's bet is just, okay, I'll double down on all I don't know and all of my ignorance. I'll push it to the middle of the table, and I'm going to win this bet.
You know what? I'm going to reconsider Bitcoin on my way to the moon in a private rocket. How's that?
To be fair to Greg, I don't think the ubiquity of Bitcoin is going to be a thing in the next 20 years. Like, you basically have to get everyone to buy in that this is the currency of our time. And I think we're several generations away from that happening.
Have major companies bought in yet? Like, can you use crypto to, get a hotel room? Can you do it?
Plenty. But I don't think that you need to do that. That'd certainly push it a long way. But look, we still have gold bars. We're not going to farm stores and paying in gold bars. It's commodities like anything else.
Would it be good to talk to somebody with some expertise about this, or is this something that would just send us all into a ditch because it would make our... I'd love to understand more of this, but I feel like there's a real high end to this that I'll never achieve an understanding of, because there are a lot of people, when people get first to whatever the system is, they're going to game the system in their favor.
You're never going to understand it. You're never going to understand it.
It'd have to be like a 10-part podcast series where we build a layer at a time. Like, I'm still at the very beginning end of understanding, like, I heard a podcast the other day about Web3. It blew my mind. Like, what is this going to be?
Which Ethereum is going to have a huge say in if we do move towards Web3.
If you are somebody who has snorted the 80s and 90s and of Wall Street, and then the last 20 years of Silicon Valley, if you're one of these people who wants to be the competitive assassin, who is the Billy Bean, who knows something about money that nobody else knows, or is in the high end of the secret of how to create a currency, right now the market is flooded with whoever those people are who see a shortcut to a whole lot of unseen money. It's like a treasure chest that also hurts the environment because of the mining for Bitcoin.
Right. Well, which is why I look around and I'm like, this can't possibly go well for these types of people. Like the bro that puts his entire paycheck into Bitcoin. I'm like, is this just a setup? Because I'm invested in it, and I've had a very poor season betting on football. If I'm going big on something, chances are you should short me.
But you who are into this a little bit are basically saying this is a phenomenon that's very difficult to explain, even harder to understand. Isn't that in and of itself a big negative toward the eventual acceptance of this phenomenon?
But isn't that all pioneering?
Yeah,
can I say
yes.
all pioneering? That's what it is.
Yes. You could say that about all pioneering, all innovation. I mean, have someone try to explain to you why a gold bar is worth what it is. Well, it's this element. It's on the periodic table, and that's why we've assigned it this price. That's why I lean towards the utilities, because I think the utility coins are going to have a say as we move towards decentralized internet, hopefully.
But Greg, I mean, you were around for the innovation of the internet. I imagine it was fairly hard to explain then that basically we would be creating audio content or video content that only lives on this thing in 30 years' time.
But this is money, man. Like, this is his money.
So it's not just money. Like, what you hear about Web3 is that essentially the thing that they're trying to create is an internet model that is based around ownership, right? That you own things. So, for example, like they used the model of a New York Times subscription in this podcast, where like instead of having a subscription to the New York Times, you would own a piece of it. So like the articles that you read or the crosswords that you play, like you own a piece of that. And so it's not just I'm subscribing to things, it's I'm investing in everything in my life. And that this platform, Web3, will allow you to basically own everything that you partake in. You're not just paying for services, you actually take ownership of them.
Well, here's my question. And I sort of asked this before and nobody seemed to have an answer. This sounds to me like a private economy, like an independent currency. And if it is this a drain on the U.S. economy? Is the U.S. government getting a cut of cryptocurrency in terms of taxes?
They can make an investment in it like other countries are heavily invested. Is it El Salvador that just recently bought?
But are they
million?
taxing it? Is my question.
Are they taxing earnings? You get tax returns
from cryptocurrency.
Yeah, from
okay.
If you make money off of it, you're getting taxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is what's happening, Greg, and I don't think you're alone here. I think it's part of how age arrives, and within that age, we feel threatened. You're asking the questions because of your ignorance, because of our ignorance. You're asking the questions, hey, how is this thing that I don't understand allowed to exist with other people profiting off it? And it's so hard to understand that even though Stugotz, who really cares about money, is like, never mind. It's too complicated.
It's too much work,
It's
man.
too complicated to understand. I love your relationship with this, which is just to be scared of it.
Well, I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's disinterest on my part. And maybe it is age in this sense. If I were Christopher's age, I would certainly be looking into this. I'd be investigating it. At my age, in my financial situation, I don't have an interest in it.
Do they have like crypto brokers? Do they have people who can explain this to you? Are they trustworthy?
Those are all different questions.
Is a conventional broker trustworthy?
Right.
No.
And to answer Greg's question about like, well, is the American government or is our currency hurting from it? I think part of the appeal or the selling point of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is that it is decentralized in a way that, like, for example, the value of our money is dependent on the Federal Reserve, and it's dependent on an entity that is very opaque and we don't understand. And so the idea that there's 20 million Bitcoin across the world, that is the exact amount that there will be for the rest of time, gives it the value so that we're not relying upon people who determine or set policy on what our money is worth.
In Web3, the community determines the value. Whereas here, you could be living and being a tax-paying citizen and do, honest to God, your best, and then the economy will crash around you and you have lost everything. Here, the community has a say. In fact, shows like ours are actually very well positioned in a day where Web3 overtakes the conventional internet.
But the criticism of that is that can feel like a Ponzi scheme. Is that if you invest in something and everyone has to find value in it in order for your value to increase. Like it's a constant upselling of the things that you own. It's like, oh, this is worth more, and everything has to be worth more, or else it all falls apart.
And that's where a lot of the think pieces have come in. Like, well, people wash their money with crypto, and it could be used by white supremacists and all these bad things. And I saw Gary Vee do an interview on this. He's like, yeah, you mean like conventional money too? A bunch of bad entities use everything at the start of every big innovation. There's always going to be original sin type
our
human
money,
beings.
cash, our economy it's an agreed upon construct. That's all it is. And now you're seeing that one built, and it might succeed and it might fail. But the value of our money is just because we've agreed to make this the system in which money has this value.
But guys, help me out with something. If I have crypto in one account and I transfer it to Bank of America, does it turn into cash or is it always crypto?
Stugotz just
I need to
wants,
see cash.
That's a good question.
It is, right? Thank you.
Wants to know.
Does my crypto ever turn into cash?
Stugotz, do you want to learn here the basic information
I do.
that will get you intrigued so that you can gamble?
I want to be a crypto broker.
But you want to gamble the same way you do on Isner on Super Bowl morning.
Isner.
Oh, my God.
Whoa,
Thank you for the Vine, Dan.
All
John
day
Isner
Yeah.
and Riley Opelka, two monsters, two absolute kaiju of tennis, had the longest match, the longest tiebreaker in ATP history over the weekend. Let's do 4 parts on it.
I want to talk about this because I love the little number. It was just 2 sets. It was just because
it's not a Grand Slam.
It's never just 2 sets with Isner.
Well,
I mean, don't play 4 sets within a set.
But it was 2 sets, and it was basically just all serves. It's one guy standing across the court with a bazooka rocket launcher surface-to-air missile on his shoulder, and he just sends it one way, and then, okay, that's the point, and then it goes the other way. And they're just launching from on top of a mountain, and nobody can return a serve.
Well, I returned it.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
I implore our audience right now to just Google Isner Opelka.
It's great. I just did it.
And look at this 2-set score.
They maxed out their time on the court.
Never, ever seen anything like that.
Can you explain it to people, for those of you who are not interested in tennis, don't know the scoring of tennis? There is the number for the set, and then there is the little number that would be placed in a spot that would be like an asterisk. And usually that little number is not 26, 24.
Crazy.
It is with Isner.
Never heard of it.
I mean, even by Isner's standards, although he did have a match that
He played a 5-day match.
Didn't he play a match? How many days did that match last? It wasn't actually 5 days, was it? I mean,
It went over to 3 days.
It was 11 hours, 5 minutes that lasted over 3 days. The final tiebreaker was 70-68.
Okay, is there video?
Opelka had 39 aces. Isner had 21.
That's crazy. That's why I prefer the women's game. Serve and volley. Bring it back. right? I mean, come on. The women's game is more entertaining to watch.
The points go quicker. I would agree.
I mean,
the points go quicker. Yeah, okay, but I just want guys launching rockets from the top of the heavens, like just throwing thunderbolts. I don't even care if they're any good at tennis. I just love that they're good at hitting a ball very hard and putting the other guy in a position where he's like splayed against the back of the stadium and he's trying to return it. Like, how Isner's the small one there, correct?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Man, I don't.
How tall is Isner?
aren't they like both 6'7"?
Isner stands up in sections.
Isner 6'10"?
Wow.
Isner unfolds like bleachers in a high school stadium. And Stugotz, you stood next to, like you stood right next to him. How tall is he, Opelka? How do you pronounce his name?
Riley Opelka. I think he's like 6'11", something like that. I mean, he's got a very difficult serve to return, but I got one. I mean,
I know you keep bringing it back to you.
Well, I mean, I just like to point it out.
But I was asking you how big he is.
6'11", I said that.
And how, but next to him, like, can you imagine that Isner is smaller than this person? Can you imagine that Isner is about the same size as this person? Because you're 5-something.
No, they're comps.
Yeah,
it's Spider-Man.
Isner 6'10", so about an inch smaller.
The contest did not see a break point.
That's crazy. That's bad for tennis.
Both men won more than 85% of their first serve points.
That's amazing.
Because, I mean,
Just heat.
It's just heat. But that's what I love. The match is just, okay, Isner has launched the ball, and Opelka has it embedded in his right eye. It's like just,
he pulls it out and serves it back.
Yeah.
He just picks it up
It's amazing the match went on.
Picks it up with blood on it and sends it right back and takes out one of the ligaments, like on his knee. And it's just how fast can I serve this? 160 miles an hour. Here it comes.
Is that really even that fun to watch, though, to Greg's
No!
point?
It's terrible.
No.
No.
That's
It's
what
terrible.
Greg's saying. A little serve and volley, a little rally, something.
But
right?
I ask you, Stugotz, is it fun to watch? Yes or no? Yes, you say a little serve and rally. I want my art. I want it to feel like just surgical strikes all over the court. But Schwarzenegger on one side, he's got a bazooka on his right arm.
Oh my God.
And Rambo on the other side.
I am so
and
there.
he's got a bazooka on his right arm.
I stand corrected.
And that's all it is. It's just tennis balls, and it's just rocket launchers. It's not sport.
Wrapped in the American flag.
It's a military exercise. It's not sport. It's nuclear testing in a desert.
They don't even work on their ground strokes.
No.
Why bother?
No, just
What do you think the last time John Isner worked on a slice?
Yeah, exactly.
He laughs at his
They don't know how to play the net.
Underspin?
Where's the net? It's crazy. They couldn't play doubles because they don't know how to play the net. They're just serving 1,000 miles an hour. Bad for tennis. Let's be the one to say it. It's bad for the sport.
Again, you can say that. Aren't they both top 10?
I think Opelka's got some climbing.
He's top
to do.
20,
And
Opelka.
Isner was really hurt over the last couple of years.
Of course he's hurt. Look at what he's
He's always
doing.
His shoulder.
Man, can you imagine this happen? He's got a torn labrum.
Yeah, I think Opelka at this point might be ranked higher than Isner.
I think he's up to 18th, Opelka. And I don't think
Wow,
Isner's been in the top 20 for a while.
The Stugotz bump.
I'm seeing Opelka at 20 and Isner at 23. So they're
Okay.
two top 25 tennis
Yeah,
players.
Isner will get up there again. He just needs to work himself back into fitness.
You know what tennis needs? Tennis needs a guy whose hardest serve is like 55 miles an hour, but he can slice all over the court. I'm half
A
serious.
slicer.
He's got all the trick shots, the drops, the slices.
Like McEnroe.
Yes, that's what tennis needs.
All right, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does tennis need a slicing magician?
Yes.
Did you see what Djokovic said, by the way? He said that he is perfectly fine missing more majors.
That's crazy.
You will not force him to get
He'll
the
opt
jab.
out, he said. Yeah.
You will not force him flatly. We have someone at the top of his game who is now one behind Rafa Nadal for the most Grand Slam victories.
Only because he didn't play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main reason would be, we'll see. I mean, Rafa is good on that surface, too. It would have been
great.
good to see
Mhm.
those two play, but he's just flatly saying, I'm willing to walk away from major tournaments if they make me get this.
And
job.
it's like in that sport, it's like LeBron doing it. I mean, and in terms,
And he's the greatest ever, Djokovic. I mean, and he's refusing to play and become greater than he already is because he would pass Nadal in 4 majors. He'd pass him.
and he's hurting himself and his economy and his legacy because he's suffered right now. He was anti-vax long time ago, 10 years ago, before any of the recent stuff, but it didn't stick to him in a way that now he's got some of that Aaron Rodgers stuff on him. And you can say we're an echo chamber and you can say that we lean to the wrong side, but these guys now have stains that they did not have when they were just headed to excellent champions who were going to be largely beloved with no ability of anybody to take that one thing and make it who they are. Like that doesn't happen that often where, this is Tiger Woods betraying you.
Yeah, pretty much.
With infidelity.
Yeah.
This is these guys taking a stance that has not only risked harm to us, but has really harmed the way that they're going to be viewed, just legacy-wise, because people are going to diminish their excellence in not liking them for the stances that they've taken.
Well, I don't care about his stance. Like, he's entitled to not get the vax if that's what he chooses to do. He's been irresponsible with the stance, meaning he knows he's positive and still goes out to photo shoots for magazines. You can't do that.
Back in the early days, he was going to super spreader events too. So I do think it's fairly arbitrary that Aaron Rodgers can play sport because he operates within certain state lines and Kyrie Irving can't when he's in certain state lines. And hopefully we get to a point where more people get vax and you can have the wayward person that feels like they're fighting a principled fight. And you can just be like, all right, you march to the beat of your own drummer. Hopefully we keep building to a point where Novak Djokovic's behavior isn't so reckless that it truly can endanger everyone around him. I'd hope we get to the point where everyone around him is kind of vax and he can continue to operate, because it is a bummer and really arbitrary that he can't compete.
I just don't see the principle in it or the nobility.
Is that a guess?
I just don't.
He's done.
I like what you said.